All right, welcome back. And now we get to talk about some classics.
Yeah, the teleprompter got me a little overexcited there. I wanted to jump into it.
All right, we're going to jump back, way back to 1927, The General, starring Buster Keaton. The General, one of the great movies from classical Hollywood. So you saw this with me, and we both agree that this was a great movie. And in this case, what can you say? It fits your classical hero elements. You got your comedy going. It's just fantastic. Buster Keaton, you can definitely see how he has influenced physical comedy throughout our years. Oh, and if we haven't mentioned, this is a silent film, so if you're expecting dialogue, there's, maybe a paragraph of dialogue in the whole movie?
It's really easy to endure, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Buster Keaton's really able to play his character off very well. They don't really need a whole lot of dialogue for communication. Every now and then, they'll switch frames and you'll see the black screen with the white text, but for the most part, the only thing that you're really going to see is his facial expressions. And that, along with his stunts, really makes the film, I'd say.
So that's what I noticed first and foremost was the actions of the characters really helped set that tone, and you didn't need a lot of words to explain what was going on. You just had this, you knew what they were feeling. You knew it was either fear or suspense or love even. There is some romance in the movie. And it was great. The story follows our hero, Johnny Gray, who is a Confederate engineer on a locomotive called the General. And Union spies come and steal his train. Unbeknowing, they also steal his love in Annabelle Lee. So they are taking this train and his female to the Union lines, and he chases them unaided. He tries to get aid, but everything fails with some kind of comedy going into it. So he has to sneak across enemy lines, rescue Annabelle Lee, recover his train, and while he's there, he also uncovers plans for a sneak attack by the Union soldiers. He gets back across Confederate lines, informs the Confederate Army what's going on. They manage to counterattack, destroy the Union trains and the bridge, and he's a hero. Mm-hmm. All this with comedy spread throughout, and it's just fantastic.
Happy ending, and they wreck an actual train.
Yes, and for the time, this was the most expensive special effects stunt ever done, because everyone thought they were going to use studio, but Buster Keaton said, no, we want to use a real train, and that was very expensive.
Right.
So they bought a train so they could blow it up, essentially. And
they blew up the bridge. The train actually fell in the river. You can actually see on the sides of the screen soldiers running away. You can see the trees blowing in the wind. It looks like a miniature at first until you see actual people running away, and then you realize they wouldn't have had the technology for that back then.
Exactly. It's not CGI. This was set on location out in a canyon somewhere. They blew up the train. It's just...
I did a little research on this. According to IMDb, I don't know if this is fact or fiction, he actually used a training dummy as the engineer, so he kind of stands still, but still, the first time this movie played and people saw it, they saw the engineer thinking it was a real person. People started screaming.
Yeah, he was a visionary, and we see his influence even today as... the
great Keith Brooks mentioned.
Great Keith Brooks mentioned that Jackie Chan is listed Buster Keaton as an influence. So if you ever see Jackie Chan doing some stuff, think he probably got this from Keaton at some point. So I think, The General was just great overall, and I had to give it really high marks. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 Shakespeare's. Because 5 out of 5, I have problems giving that away. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 Shakespeare's, so that's what I gave it. Would you agree with that?
That sounds good. Might even be a little bit low, but yeah, that's right about it.
It's on the border, so I had to. So, you want to take the next one? Introduce us?
Okay, let's go on to 1776. Some of you may not be familiar with this film, but it's actually a musical. I forget when it was written. I want to say the 60s. And brought to film in the 70s, 72, I believe. And basically it tells the story of our founding fathers and how the Declaration of Independence was written. Oh, wow, let's see. What can we talk about on this movie? Well, for the one, it's a musical. Let's talk about the music. The songs are catchy.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You've got some songs about slavery, a soldier dying on the field. Those are the two dark ones. Everything else is chipper and upright. You've even got a song, let's see, Benjamin Franklin and John Adams get together to sing about how hot Thomas Jefferson's wife is. That's an amusing one.
Well, and what I might want to note is that John Adams is also played by the same man who played George Feeney.
William Daniels, yes.
So
Mr.
hearing
Feeney
him sing about
sings.
somebody else's wife and how hot it is quite humorous in itself, because our generation would first reference him as George Feeney.
Yep.
So you're thinking, hey, Mr. Feeney's talking about cheating on somebody.
And you know what's weird? Between this movie and Boy Meets World, he doesn't grow.
No, he
doesn't
looks
at all.
exactly the same. That was weird.
It's very strange. But he has a great singing voice, though, so we encourage you to watch this.
Yeah,
it's a great cultural
phenomenal
experience.
movie. It brings humor to the whole revolutionary period almost, in that they
It
do
does.
this as a musical, and I think that just adds to the humor a little bit.
And the dialogue is great. The movie is a little bit off in its chronology, but they really bring out the character of the representatives. Like, let's see, John Adams.
Mm-hmm.
He's loudmouthed, he's obnoxious, but he's determined, he's an idealist. He knows what's good for America, he's got to have his way. Thomas Jefferson isn't really quite sure how he feels about the whole slavery issue.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also kind of the romantic. Benjamin Franklin, witty and a little bit perverted.
Well, that's close to his actual character,
Oh,
if
yeah,
I remember
yeah.
correctly. So
And Stephen Hopkins likes to drink a lot. Also, Colonel, let's see, what is his name? McKean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the only one with a gun there in the entire group.
So,
So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's a little bit odd.
it's quite an interesting movie.
But let's see, what other points should we hit on here?
Well, you probably should talk about the cane fight that goes on.
Oh, that's a good point. There is a cane fight. That's the one sign of violence there. That and when McKean fires his gun. But for the most part, it really is a good movie.
Oh, I mean, there's not a lot of, morally objective material.
No, there's really not. I mean, it's
So,
a
you know-
musical, it's fun, it's friendly for the whole family. I will say this, though, use subtitles, even if you don't like to, because the dialogue is just so intense, so fast, so witty. Yes, it's fat.
It's fat?
It
Fat
is, with a
dialogue?
PH.
Oh, yes. But it is, yes, I would enjoy the subtitles just to know the lyrics of some of the songs, because I have trouble following that sometimes.
I've actually been watching this since middle school, elementary school, and every time I catch something new, is what you really can't say that about too many movies.
No, musicals, you tend to be able to do that.
It's
But
true.
that's because they're difficult to film. So, I enjoyed it. So, what would we give this?
I'm going to say 3.5, I believe.
Or 3?
Or just 3?
Yeah,
3, yeah. Okay, you talked me into it. Let's go ahead and say 3 Shakespeares out of 5.
All right, 3 Shakespeares out of 5. There we go. So, we've talked about our 2 movies, both classics, and I think everyone should go see these movies because you will enjoy them. And so, we have our panel discussion that we did this weekend. So
South
that's,
Park.
That
Oh,
is
yes.
coming up. So, don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this one.